Helen, thank you so much for managing to squeeze some time into your day.
It's a pleasure to be here and to see your lovely face.
Thank you. So as you know, we're going to be talking for the next 20 to 30 minutes about well-being.
Yeah.
So it's currently Global Wellbeing Week, running from the 21st to the 30th of June, and I just had this kind of idea that I really wanted to speak to people that I know and care about well-being, because it's such a big topic. So part of that is learning more and understanding more about how well-being is for other people. And then the other part is to help to bring it into the forefront of people's minds. And for those that are watching, maybe they want to focus more on their own well-being. Maybe they want, some different ideas to enhance their well-being. So I'm hoping that they're going to get a few nuggets to take away. That's no pressure, by the way.
No. Cool.
So why don't you share a little bit about who you are for those that don't know you?
Yeah, okay. So my name's Helen. I am professionally an occupational therapist. I work with adolescents at the moment. I'm working with adolescents with mental ill health, but I'm due to start a new job next week, working with children with special needs in the special needs school. I'm a wife and I am a mum to a 19-month-old, nearly 19-month-old boy.
Can't believe you're that old.
I know. I live in London. I moved to London from Leicester at the end of 2009, so I've been here for quite a long time now. Didn't think I'd necessarily stay here for as long as I have, but here I am still. That's kind of me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And I know that we're going to find out lots more about you anyway when I ask the next question, which is, what does well-being mean to you?
So I think I've been kind of thinking about sort of how to approach sort of well-being and whether to put my professional hat on as an occupational therapist or talk about it in a personal way, because as an occupational therapist we talk about well-being all the time.
Yeah,
that means to an individual, and I'm sure you agree, every person is different. What well-being means to them. But for me, on a personal level, it just means having, I think, the time and energy to do the things I want and need to do. That can be a whole heap of things, and that has changed obviously loads since having a baby, since the pandemic. I definitely say it's having the time and energy to do things that I like to do and the essential things. And I think that's probably quite similar sort of what an occupational therapist would say. Okay. I say it sort of being well enough to participate in the activities that you want or need to do. As an occupational therapist, we help people who aren't able to participate in these activities that they want or need to do, and that's sort of how we help recovery. So the two are quite similar.
Yeah, they are actually. I really like that, what you're saying. So you've got time on the one hand and then you've got energy on the other.
Yeah.
And there is a relationship between the two of them as well, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think time is a really curious one as well. That there's so much that can impact on the time that we have available, which I know that you know that only.
And the energy side as well, and I think that just links into a whole heap of things, and that links into sleep and all sorts of things as well, and all sorts of things can affect your energy. And I think energy is sort of a good way to think about well-being. Again, I mean, you know me, I've always been quite active and had quite a lot of energy, and I know on nights we've had some fun nights out, and I've always been like the first one up, and I used to go to the gym. that stopped a long time ago, but I still do have a reasonable amount of energy, and that's sort of how I judge how well I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So for you, can you just talk a little bit about how your time over the past, is it 18 months, might even be longer, with the pandemic, how has your well-being been impacted during that time?
So I think for me it's hard to kind of separate being a new mum and when the pandemic started. So I was lucky enough to have Hugo in the November before the pandemic started. So he was 4 months when the first lockdown came in. So yeah, and obviously sort of being a new mum, like first time mum, I was tired. I tried to have some sort of routine because I know how important, being an occupational therapist, how important it is to have the routine. So I think it's hard to separate the two. But I think, I mean, my well-being has been impacted, definitely. I think sort of being a new mum can be quite isolating anyway. And then sort of he was at the age where we were starting to think about going to baby groups where we could meet other new mums and socialise with them and sort of have a chat about lack of sleep and sort of generally how things are going. So it did make me feel quite isolated. I am lucky that I've got friends and family that I kept in touch with, and I did an NCT group before Hugo was born. So I met other mums as well, and it did mean that we could sort of go out for walks and kind of secret walks in a way when you weren't supposed to socialise at all. So we arranged to accidentally bump into like each other on our daily walk, just so we could socialise. So I think my well-being was definitely impacted through sort of the lack of being able to socialise. And again, you know me, and you know that I love socialising. I love being around people, and that sort of definitely impacted my well-being. Energy-wise, I can't say if it was the pandemic that impacted my energy or not, or whether I was having a little one. So definitely. But then sort of thinking about the things I needed and wanted to do. Yes, the pandemic definitely impacted the things I needed and wanted to do. Like, we needed to see family. We needed family support. We needed like grandparents to stay so we could have time for us. But this is me and my husband. And so that was impacted, and sort of I think I had one night out before the first lockdown. I'd made it out of the house on my own to meet a girlfriend for a couple of glasses of wine, and then the week after lockdown happened. So I've got a little friend.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
So you had one girlfriend?
Yeah, one girls' night out, and that was it before lockdown. So again, it was very isolating.
Yes.
And time in a way. Sorry.
Again.
Had plenty of time in a way to do things, but couldn't do the things I wanted to do. So it's a funny one.
So, and just talk a little bit about, because I know that I asked you in the context of the pandemic, but let's just take that out. I mean, you've spoken a little bit about that, but being a new mum and your well-being. So how, there's so much change, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So what did you notice about your well-being? And I guess, was there anything that was a surprise to you?
A lot of things were a surprise to me. I think I have always tried to really look after myself, like physically, through exercise, making sure I've got time to relax. If I'm sleeping, I can just like go and have a nice long bath. that kind of thing. But yeah, that definitely changed, and you do put another person's well-being before your own. So I don't know, there were nights where I'm still breastfeeding now, but there were nights where I would be feeding him on the sofa and my husband would be having to like feed me pasta, and and you kind of just grab sleep when you can. I know we've talked about sleep quite a lot. So I've had quite bad insomnia since I was about 16. And having a baby in the early stages, I thought, wow, my insomnia is cured. I can sleep anywhere. Tell me to go to bed and I'll go to sleep. Yeah, my insomnia is cured. But I mean, I think you were different kind of tired. Yeah, so having a new baby just impacts every part of life. I wasn't able to take the time to eat all the healthy meals that I wanted to. It's just a case of grabbing something. So it was relying on like food, bread, a lot of chocolate to get you through it and stuff. So that side of me sort of wasn't doing so well. Obviously, exercise went out the window. I think the good thing about having the lockdown is we used to go for really long walks during the first lockdown. Every day we could get out, we'd go make sure we went for a really long walk, and the weather was really nice as well, wasn't it? So that's the only exercise I was getting. I've started doing a bit of Pilates, whereas I used to be like a keen runner, weights, just like jumping around everywhere. Definitely wasn't able to jump around everywhere for quite a while. So sort of the eating, the exercise, the sleep, it's sort of it does impact everything, definitely. And I don't know, I just didn't think that would all go out the window as it did, but it did.
And I'm just and before we move on, because I know that you've always been kind of exercise has almost been your release. It's been help you, even if it's high intensity, it de-stresses and it relaxes you. And it's that's ever since I've known you, that's always been part of your life, even if
absolutely
in terms of what you've enjoyed doing. And I do remember a time us talking where you were it was almost like you were feeling really claustrophobic because you weren't able to do anything. So how did you start getting back into exercise, I guess?
So I started getting back into exercise through Pilates. I started doing a weekly Pilates session that was at 10:30 every Sunday morning, and my husband would take the baby out for a nice long walk at that time, and I'd get the house to myself, and then I'd be able to do that exercise and jump in the shower. But I was only able to do that because of having someone else around. I really don't know how single parents do it.
No.
So that's how I slowly got back into it. And then I started doing the couch to 5k. And then tonight actually I wasn't going to do it. I've started doing the Les Mills body combat, so I am into the jumping around thing now. I wasn't going to do it, but then I thought, well, how come on here and talk about well-being and say that actually instead of doing body combat in the garden, I sat and watched an episode of Bridgerton. So and honestly, I do feel better for it. And there've been a couple of times in the past week I've had really bad insomnia. Towards the end of last week, and I think I've had like 3-4 hours sleep for like 2 consecutive nights. But I felt dreadful, but I did make myself get into the garden and do the body combat because I knew that would help, and it actually did. And it just got rid of all these like negative thoughts and feelings. And so it definitely, I think the exercise definitely still works for me. But I'm really pleased that I did the Pilates because I enjoyed that, and it just made me feel physically and mentally good as well. yeah, I think now I do feel that I will go back to Pilates at some point, but I do, yeah, I like the high intensity, the music, the jump around, the sweatiness. Yeah.
This is actually something I found, Helen, through over the last year, is what I was enjoying at the start, that it changed, and I also moved away from kind of yoga. I was doing a half an hour session 3 times.
I remember you saying
some of them as well. And then I started doing live classes, and there was a legs one, there was the body combat, which I was so fast I couldn't keep up. And what I thought was brilliant about it was I was just able to laugh at myself, because it's just so ridiculous. I think for me it's really listening, isn't it, and tuning in and not forcing yourself to do something that actually, if that's not working for you anymore, I force yourself to continue doing that.
Exactly.
No. So now for you then, what are the ingredients that help you to be a well-being, would you say? What are the things that you need?
Sleep. Definitely sleep. And I am a lot better than I used to be. I do kind of accept it now, that if I'm having a bad night, it will pass and I will start to sleep well again. And touch wood, for the last few nights I've slept really, really well. So sleep. And if I can't sleep, then it's just rest and relaxation. So I subscribe to Audible. If I can't sleep, instead of lying in bed thinking I can't sleep, this is awful, I put an audiobook on just to listen to one, because I keep falling asleep and I have to keep going back. But I think that really helps. So sleep, definitely. Exercise, definitely. I used to go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. If I exercise 2 or 3 times a week, I'm happy with that. And I try and just mix in a little bit of walking and stuff when I can. Like when I pick Hugo up from the childminders, I'll try and walk a bit further. So but it's not quite as much as it was, but I can't see that happening for now. Socializing, seeing my friends, seeing family. I think everyone who's going through the pandemic is saying the same, getting hugs, and I think that's a really big thing. I know you came over not long ago and it was just lovely to see you face to face. So just seeing people, going out for the odd night.
Seeing people in the flesh,
having a hug.
Because and we've been really fortunate with the technology, haven't we? Really fortunate. But it's kind of less comfortable to, you don't tend to sit in silence, do you? Whereas we're physically seeing each other, you might be people watching, or you might be or being entertained by Hugo, for example. So we spoke a little bit about this before, and I thought it was great actually when you said that there was a bit of an internal battle going on. Body combat, am I going to do it? No, I'm not going to do it. But I can't go on a wellbeing thing if I'm not doing it. So that brings me on to the question about what gets in the way. So what gets in the way of you completing the activities or whatever it is that helps you to feel better?
I mean, definitely having a baby. Not that I would change him for the world, but it's time, and it's that priority. Your priorities completely change. So it's just about trying to fit in shorter exercise sessions when I can. And it is kind of with exercise and energy, it's just kind of like a bit of an unhealthy eating. For me, it's a bit of a cycle. Is if I'm lacking in energy, I don't want to exercise, and then I'll eat more chocolate and stuff. But then if I exercise, I have a lot more energy after, and I want to eat well. So it's kind of just mentally pushing through that and trying to remember that you will feel better after exercise. And I know people like Joe Wicks do harp on about you'll never have a bad workout, you'll never feel bad after a workout, which I've gone for runs and I felt terrible after and waste time. But generally, if I'm doing some exercise that I like, I generally won't regret it, even if at the time it feels hard. It's the endorphin release afterwards, and I don't know. It's just it's magic just for stress levels. I think stress can get in the way of exercise as well, and and time, and so I think it's just about sort of trying to be clever and a bit more organised and plan when I'm going to exercise, and just make sure that my husband's around something while I exercise. And he's really into exercise now, and I think he can really appreciate how it makes you feel if you're stressed or tired. We're trying to both make sure that we can both exercise a week.
That's, I think, when you've experienced something and you can really appreciate it,
it
helps you to understand why another person why they're kind of going, saying, no, I really need to do this.
Absolutely.
So we've spoken about what gets in the way, and mentioned about time and kind of the energy and that cycle. And I think I know that so that totally resonates with me. It will resonate with everybody. I think it's just part of our human makeup, isn't it? It's almost the logic. We logically know, but we will feel better. So why on earth are we trying to talk ourselves out of it?
I know.
I know different people have got, I think obviously it depends on your routine, but I've heard of people where that as soon as the alarm goes off, they're up, they're in their kit and they're doing it before they have a chance to doing that. When you do have a life that's filled with family and job as well and stuff, it's not it's not that straightforward a lot of the time, especially with young families. So that planning part, I think, is really important. Then you've got the thing of that it's coming, so you've got to catch yourself. Because otherwise, you talked yourself out of it.
But I think as well, maybe that's why it's sometimes good to mix it up and change it a little bit as well. Before you do start getting bored of it, because I used to be a really keen runner and I fell out. I just ran too often, and I think I started dreading going for runs. This was way back when, but then I really quite enjoyed taking half an hour out to do the Couch to 5K quite recently. So I think it is about mixing it up and just doing what works for you. And if you haven't got the energy to do a jumping around class, then if you enjoy Pilates, maybe do something like that. It's still exercise. If you really don't want to, then go for a brisk walk, that kind of thing as well, I think. And I think you need to not be too harsh on yourself if you don't manage it. Not beat yourself up as well, because I think then you'll just start to associate it with bad feelings. But
that's true. That's really true. I wonder if I could ask you a little bit about how you take care, if you don't mind sharing, how you take care of your well-being, being in the profession that you are, because in any kind of caregiving role, there's always almost kind of like a bleeding of and I'm just wondering, and I know you have been doing that a while now, but is there anything in particular that helps you almost to be able to kind of separate? I
just think being able to talk about it, I will chat to friends, family, and my husband, obviously not giving any names or any details.
Yeah.
People do know sort of the profession I'm in and how ill some of the young people are. So I think just talking about it, and the team at work are very supportive. So I do get sort of professional supervision as well. And sometimes we have a psychologist that we talk to, and we do team reflection. So that's something provided. Fortunately, that has been happening on my non-working days. I haven't had any of that since I've been back from maternity leave, which has been quite tough. But yeah, I think, and speaking to other occupational therapists as well, who, like my friends from uni, I've been able to sort of meet up with them and go for a walk and stuff, and just sort of normalise my feelings. And I'm lucky that a lot of them work in mental health.
Yeah.
I definitely think talking helps. And I think since having a baby, I'm finding it much easier to get home and switch off.
Yeah.
Because I used to leave work and come home and be thinking about things in the middle of the night and stuff, whereas now I've come home and I've got loads of things to do. Hugo.
Yeah.
And then by the time he's in bed, it's sort of like I'm so tired anyway, it's time to relax. So I'm definitely finding that part easier. And whether it's from working part-time or not as well, I don't know. But yeah, so talking, having a really good distraction.
Yes.
And definitely the exercise as well, because I think I have found today quite tough. And I think that's another thing that motivated me to exercise. Yeah, a good natter and a nice glass of wine as well.
Yeah.
No wrong.
Just what the doctor orders.
Absolutely.
So if you out of, and you shared so much in this conversation, and you've also shared kind of some of the challenges that you've had, both in the terms of being a new mum, but also, you know, you shared that from a teenager you've struggled with yourself. So if maybe somebody was looking for some ideas or some recommendations as to what might make a difference to their well-being, and I know that's a really big question, but what comes up for you when I say that?
I think as well, I think there's two things that I've been thinking about, and it's find what works for you and do what works for you. What works for you, Laura, might not work for me, and vice versa. And do things that you enjoy. Don't push yourself, do something you don't enjoy because, I don't know, someone's doing it on Instagram and they look really good and they look really happy. But yeah, I think it's about finding things you enjoy and doing them. And I'm sure a lot of other people have talked about balance and things as well. But I think sort of finding something that works for you is important as well. Thinking about being a mum is sort of do what works for you. Don't compare yourself to other people.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. And I think with things like Instagram and Facebook and all the social media, it's trying to remember that isn't a complete reality. You're just seeing the best bits. And I've got a lot of friends that post on Instagram a lot, and I'll message them saying, oh, it looks like you're having a fab time, and they're like, well, actually it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And then this happened, but I've just shown like the best part. But it's remembering that. And I think definitely as a mum, when you hear that people's babies are sleeping through the night and their babies are eating all the food and they don't have tantrums and stuff, it's hard to sort of take a step back and go, I'm sure that's not the case all the time. So, and it's hard not to compare yourself. So, and I think that sort of does take me back to do what works for you, as long as you're happy, and healthy, and your baby is happy and healthy. Then
Yeah, I think that's such great advice. And I feel like there's so much pressure. I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, I'm doing it less, the comparing.
Yeah.
But it's still there, and there's a part of it that is almost like it needs to be a practice, doesn't it? A practice of checking in, recognizing, okay, I'm doing it again. Is this the best thing for me? What am I doing? I'm feeling really rubbish already.
Yeah, doom scrolling.
Yeah. And kind of being aware of that, but picking up on that, or sharing that, about when you see something that looks perfect. The person, and that's happened quite a lot of times to me. We've probably done it actually. And it is that reality check for yourself, isn't it? We are human. We're not going to be 100% all the time, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. Any last comments, Helen, before we finish?
I don't think I can think of any. No, I think that's it. I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed.
No, it's been a pleasure. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, and I hope to see you in person very soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.